legends and super legends. Heading out this morning to pick up Team RR. I'm not going to be doing 100 miles today because we've got a trip planned. I've got a lot of logistics to deal with. So I might just do 3.5, 4 hours maybe. I'll be back earlier than normal. But I rode 100 miles on Thursday, so I got it in anyway. Hope you all get a chance to get some K's in. And I will try to get some clips for you. I got the gimbal and everything loaded, taking the team kit today. And don't let anything interfere with your K's.
On this ride, left Northampton about 5:50 thereabouts in the morning, headed out into the woodlands to pick up Team RR. Once we got to the woodlands, went down Research, got on to Fish Creek towards Hornier. The pace was very subdued. Went through Rayburn Chapel. I filmed all of this, so I hope you'll enjoy the clips. At the end into Montgomery, there were a few hard efforts. On the way back, we came back because I did my big ride on Thursday after my layoff. And so I needed to shorten this day because we're going on vacation. So I hope you will enjoy the clips. It was a good ride. Just got some K's in my legs. I think I got about 100 kilometers thereabout. But I think you will enjoy the clips.
How was that ride, man?
I'm asking Doug about his diabolical double. He said he saw me on Thursday.
See you. I heard somebody yell.
This was the Thursday before this Saturday ride.
Oh, yeah.
On July 4th.
The group that ran the red light.
Yeah, he was with a group that slowed down at the intersection, but then proceeded to go through a red light.
I was telling her, I said they were wearing all these tubes of lights.
I know who they are.
Yeah, and then they run a red light. I'm like,
Yeah, this was on July 4th when it happened.
That must have been you then. I know. I told her that. I told her, I said, they stopped.
He said this. He said, but we stopped. I said, yeah, but still, it wasn't cool. There was a car at the intersection, and they stopped, but then they went through the light. And then two other members did not go through the light, which I thought was okay. But it was like, you got all this safety equipment, and why are you going through it?
It wasn't bad. I mean, they stopped. Yeah.
So we got to keep our rep correct.
That ride in Maryland, right? Okay.
So I was giving him a hard time about it.
Yeah.
That's the jersey from the diabolical double that they did in Maryland.
Yeah.
So at this point in the ride, we are approaching 2854. That's Mo right there. Mo's riding with us on this Saturday, July 6th. Mo came out. I think he's taking it easy. I found out that he had done, like on July 4th, they did a real fast ride, Burn Your Buns, and I think he was using this ride to recover. And then he traveled the time when I was on vacation. He rode, they went out to Colorado to do the triple bypass ride where they do 3 mountain peaks. So everybody's got their plans. So you see Mo is coming to do a subdued ride. He sits in most of this ride. He didn't pull too much. And that was my plan, to just kind of sit in here and spin. Stay in shelter. So I'm riding up to the back of the group here. So make sure you ride with a group when it benefits you. I do most of my training alone. I may do 1 group ride, maybe 2 tops out of 7 rides. So most of my riding is solo because I want to stick to my plan. It's harder to stick to your plan with a group. So you need to find a group that will help you achieve what you're trying to accomplish. And if they don't hesitate to break off and do your own thing. I usually ride with these groups for an hour or so and then break away and go and do my own thing because they don't go as far a lot of times. Stay with them as far as they go and then continue. Most of the top riders train alone a lot because that's what it takes, so you can stay focused. We're not really riding hard here I'm sitting a little off the back on purpose. You can see I'm soft pedaling right here, coasting. I'll go ahead and get closer here. This is like my second long ride back after taking off almost 10 days. So since I knew that I was going to be off for at least another 7 days following this ride, that's why I did this ride. So I wouldn't have too much downtime. So I got about 3 or 4 days of riding in before our vacation. And today, Monday, that I'm doing this recording, will probably be the first day I get back on the bike, because we got back over the weekend and I went ahead and just relaxed. And today I feel like riding, so I may just go out to spin for a bit to get back into the swing of things. So it's hard when you take time off to know how to get back into things. That's the hardest part. Among other things, when it comes to specific training, and it's a big advantage when you have help, like if you have a coach or somebody experienced that you can bounce things off of to know how to get back quickly. Otherwise, you're not sure. If you don't do it right, you can kind of set yourself back. I stay a little to the right here to keep my eye around everybody. That's Mo up there with the flashing light. He's got the zoom mode on. That's what you're seeing. That's the Cyclolite Hotshot 150 he has. Stay a little off the wheels here so I can see around them. We're descending, speeds are picking up, and that's just going to bring me closer to them without me even pedaling. I'm coasting here. That's Mary on the right here. A while back I had talked to her about her gear selection, and I guess she just likes to ride larger gears, but a lot of times I notice she's always over geared, so when the speeds change dramatically, she really cannot respond.
A lot of fog this morning, which is unusual for us, but it's high humidity.
You'll have a lot of fog in the trees. If you look up to the trees to the left, yeah, you can see the mist. That's just the humidity creating a lot of fog. The dew points are high, so when we have high dew points, not only is it humid, but early in the morning you have a lot of mist. There's Michael up here. He keeps his phone in something behind the saddle. It looks odd. It's above his light there. Most of the ride ends up being very steady. We didn't really force the pace except for a few areas. So all I'm doing here is just enjoying rolling along. You see Mo is talking with somebody up there. I think it's John. So I had done about 163 kilometers 2 days before this ride. So I had really good legs on this ride, even though I'd been off. So it took me about 3 rides to kind of get back into the swing of things after 9 days. It might take you more. Everybody's different. Keep that in mind. And you need to figure out what works for you, so as you come back, especially if you have events planned, you know how to ride at your event. Mary's already way down the cluster in the back there. I think she's sitting on the smallest cog she has. She always rides close to her largest ratio. I'm not really sure why, because once your legs will get tired if you ride like that too long. So you see me in a while when we get into the hills, end up pushing Mary quite a few times to get her over the steepest pitches. And even then, she's overgeared. The only reason the gaps are big here where you see me following Mary is because we're not going hard, for me anyway. So when you're just rolling and the pace is easy, you don't need to be as tight. When it matters, then you tighten up. Nobody has to tell you that. So even if this group had decided to go a lot faster, and you will see it will happen later, we start to go hard, I was ready for anything because I had done 3 rides prior to this ride. I believe I rode, let's see, this is Saturday. I rode Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. Wednesday ride was what you all saw, the first ride back, the easy ride in Creekside. And then Thursday's ride was more than 100 miles. And then Friday's ride was just an easy spin to get ready for the weekend. So by Saturday, I had really good legs. So it's a very specific science, different for everybody. So you need to find what works for you. That's what training is about. You can have the same program, but it doesn't apply to each person the same way. It has to be customized for you. I'm not sure who's back there. I think it was Mo. I don't know if it's Mo. No, I don't know who's back there. Not sure why he's way back there. It's a short light here. They're still not done with the construction they're doing here for the shopping center on the right. New pavement. I actually prefer Honia Egypt Road to this road. It's okay and everything, but I think Honia Egypt Road is more challenging. That's more going by. So he's back there with somebody. Just keeping his eye on everybody. Doug shot on the. That's Greg shot on the left there, riding in the closed lane. If you're gonna do that before you come back over, make sure nothing's coming, because this is the open lane. That lane is closed to traffic. He knows what he's doing. So you can tell the pace is not high, because the group is spread out. We're using the whole lane, riding two abreast. And that's Doug on the right and Mo on the left. They're chatting, and then Mark is riding next to somebody. But once the pace picks up, you will see the line close up. So we're getting towards Ridge Lake Shores. I think Mo's getting something to eat. Now Mo knows what he's doing, so if you're gonna do something like he's doing in the group, make sure that your front wheel is not close to overlapping anybody. And while you do that, make sure you keep your front wheel clear, because if anything hits your front wheel while you're sitting hands-free, you're going down. You will see Mo do that again, to go in his pocket to get something to eat. He does that very quickly, but whenever he does that, he increases his cadence, because that gives you more control over the bike. Of course, the wind conditions are correct to where it's not going to impact his front wheel. And he goes in, gets his food, takes it out, and he proceeds to eat real quickly, because anything can change in the group as far as the pace or whatever. So you with the group and you're eating, make it quick. So a lot of times, Mo packs, you'll see him show me his sandwich. He packs like a peanut butter sandwich, and he packs it in bite size. You don't want to pack a full sandwich. So if you have a full sandwich and you make it at home, cut it up and store them in bite sizes, so you can just unwrap a bite size, put it in your mouth, and keep riding. If you do pack a full sandwich, then eat it at the breaks. So this is a new light they put here at Ridge Lake Shores. We slowed down for it, and then it changed, so we didn't have to unclip. There was no agreement to keep the pace as subdued as it is today. I wasn't sure what was going on, because usually even with Team RR we ride faster than this, but it was a lot more subdued. David's there on the right, that you saw me, the lady I was talking with in the parking lot, she's on the right there in front of Mark. Davis and Mary have challenges when we pick up the pace, keeping up. So they just let us go and they do their own thing. So today they were able to hang on most of the ride. This is what we mean when we say the ride's going to be different depending on who's there, what the plan is, whatever. So you don't get too excited. You always need to know whether the group is really hitting it that day or not. So gauge your performance by yourself, not what the group is doing necessarily. So this ended up, the way I saw this ride, I mean, with this kind of a steady pace, kept my cadence up, which may help me work a little harder. The video I made about pedaling at 90 plus RPM, if you're not used to that, you gotta train your aerobic engine to be able to tolerate that. As I mentioned in the video, don't just go out and start doing it in a group ride. You might burn yourself out. It takes a little bit of time to acclimate. You need structured programs to get your body ready. Training is a science. If you don't invest in your training, you will improve, but not as well as somebody else who has structure. They will improve quicker with less time and less pain. On the return on this ride, we ended up seeing Mo's group. They were heading out because they left at 7:30, an hour later than we did. and we saw them while we're heading back. So I think he intentionally wanted to just ride with this group today to change it up. Since on Thursday they had really gone hard. They did 100 kilometers in 2 hours and 50 minutes, which was a blistering pace. So Mo knows when to rest and when to go hard. That's what it takes. That's Greg's shot on his TT bike there. I'll move a little to the left to just get a clean shot of the camera. The overpass is coming. The pace is still subdued. That's Dan up there on the left with the blue at the bottom of his jersey. And we're on the way back. He started complaining about it being hot. And I talked about it before. He wears that jersey even in the winter. If you wear the wrong stuff, it's going to be hot. It wasn't hot to us. I mean, to me anyway. I was wearing my flyweight team kit, as you all see. So you can't just wear just any kind of jersey. The fabric makes a difference for the temperature you're riding in. I stay a little to the left here just to stay out of the debris. This bridge has a lot of debris further in the right side of the shoulder. We usually climb this around 32 plus kilometers an hour. So at 24 kilometers an hour, this is much slower than we normally climb it. Davis here. I really just spin around her. I'm not really riding hard or anything. This is the downhill. She didn't seem like she wanted to stay on the wheels. So this ride ended up for me just being an easy ride, which was fine. I rode pretty hard on Thursday. Every time you ride around other cyclists, regardless of the pace, be alert, vigilant, keep your eyes open. When you're within close proximity to other cyclists, the chances of mishaps increase. When you ride solo, chances of mishaps decrease because you only got to be concerned about yourself. You're not worrying about what mistakes other people would make. Same thing when you're driving your car. You're in an open highway cruising.
Excuse me?
It requires a lot less attention than when you're in
Yes,
traffic.
we did. Paul Meyer and
Have you ever ridden in Paul?
Yes, I have.
I love riding in Paul.
Yeah, Paul and I.
He's an inspiration. Well, because Mark and I broke off from you guys.
Yeah.
As David, she rode with us on Thursday, on July 4th. She's asking how much further Paul Meyer and I went. I rode with a guy named Paul Meyer on Thursday.
Come on, Davis.
We turn here on Capitol Road. I think that's Tim up there on the right. It's the guys whose wheel I hit
I like you guys. You're very disciplined.
Yeah.
on the last ride.
Car.
I think I'll go around Greg here. Greg's staying back because he's on his TT bars. This guy on the right, I think his name is Mark, found out later. He's on a Le Mans bike. He has not been training. You can kind of tell who's out of shape. He's not been training. So I think this pace was perfect for him, but on the way back he had challenges. And I think even going out when we hit the hills up there in River Chapel, he had some challenges. But the pace was intentionally kept steadier today by the group. I don't know if they had discussed it before I got there or not. It didn't matter to me. You can still find a way to work hard if you want, even when the group is going slow. You can stay at the front. You can spin a higher cadence, which stresses your aerobic system. There's a lot of ways you can work hard even at slow paces. Will start to go up a little bit, but nothing really changed in terms of the effort at this point right here. We approached Ribbon Chapel, and I noticed that, Mo's really holding back. Even though he was trying to rest, this is just a lot slower than I think he normally rests at. Because now he's staying near the front. He's off the front there, and I'm watching to see if people ride up to him. I think in a little bit they do. He's trying to egg the pace up a little bit, because now it's time to ride. It's been almost 45 minutes since I picked them up. Need to get going here. When we stopped at the store, he made sure that the stop was not long. Even though I came back, he was letting them know we're not gonna stop too long. So you can see he's up the road. I'm just sitting here watching to see if anybody rides up there. I think he must have backed off because we really didn't change our speed. I think Mo backed up a little bit. So if you get with a group on a day like this where they're taking it easier than normal and you want to go longer, that's all good. And I think that was their plan, because they ended up going into the forest when I turned around. So I guess since we're going longer and the stronger riders were taking it easy anyway, it encouraged the rest of the group to go with them. Pass a couple of cyclists here. Clear, we go through as a train. Mark it already checked, all clear. It's kind of a quiet intersection. So even if the pace is slower than you're used to, don't feel like it's a waste of your time. You have to decide where you're going to place yourself. So you could sit at the front longer, as I explained earlier, or you could spin a slightly lower gear, which makes you work harder. You know, I spent most of the ride spinning. Keep spinning a high cadence. So even though we're taking it easy here, remember now, it's the same guys that get excited when we come to the hill. So as we approach Ribbon Chapel here, somebody twists the screw. See, Michael goes around Mary. Mary's struggling because she's in a large gear. I ride up, put my hand on her back. I push her up. I want her to do the work. I just push her and then I let her go. And I stay on her hip here. Then I push her again. Right there. Just enough so she can keep pedaling. And I think at the end, I think more end up coming around. And Tim came by, Tim Vibrock on the left there came by and tapped my leg like he was gonna push me, and so that's what we're laughing about. And then you see Mo come around. Yeah, there's Mo. Mo goes ahead and tells her, he said, we ought to put something on your back. And then so people can just rest their hand on you. We're not going hard, but a lot of times when we put the power down, I call car back because people are spread out too much, just so people wouldn't get careless and go across that line. But anyway, Mo was telling her, we'll put something in the middle of your back so everybody can know where to push you. We're laughing about that. That's what he was saying when he went by. When I ride in the group, I don't, like you heard me say car up, because somebody was close to that yellow line. I don't spend much time near the yellow line. If I'm passing, I get it done and get back over. I like to stay where Mary is and to the right, from the middle of the lane and to the right. Even when we're riding two abreast, that's how we're taught to use the lane. Use half the lane. Because then when people pull off, like we'd ride two abreast and pull off left and right, you still use one lane to do that, instead of sitting by that yellow line. I use a high cadence here to stress my aerobic system. The pace has picked up because of the climb. The effort is up. I don't know if I go past Mary or not, but I'm keeping my eyes on the front group there. You can see how effective Mo's light is, the hot shot. That's zoom mode. The light has some nice settings. You can play with different settings and all of them work very well. So I'm telling Mary to watch being on that side of the road because it's a blind curve. I said watch for cars. That's what I was telling her as she went by. So you have to keep your eyes open when you're riding, especially in a group, because people get curious. Even when you race, when we used to race, sometimes the roads would be closed or partially closed. You still need to keep your eye out because some people don't follow all the closure restrictions, some drivers of cars. So we used to have people getting on a closed course and they wouldn't be aware of it. And we've been on a closed course where a car just showed up that had nothing to do with the race, not realizing they were on a closed course depending on how they got there. So you always have to be vigilant when you're riding. Just saw Mark sit on his top tube briefly and then sit back up on the saddle. I never bother doing that. My bikes have conventional style top tubes. Well, the blue one I could do it on, but I just don't. It feels twitchy when you do that. There's a car at the corner turning left. So we want to make sure he saw us because he's going the other way. This is the jersey that Dan wears this time of year, and then he said he was hot, so it's time for him to lighten up. This is when I realized that even though the pace is subdued, they went a little hard back there because of the climb slightly, but then they backed off. And normally when we turn on this road, it's on. Because this is called Mill Route Road, and it's tough. I just ride up to the back of Dan and Michael here. Usually doing about 34-35 kilometers an hour through here. I'm keeping my eye on the front, even though we're going slow, to make sure that I don't have to close too big a gap, because I know there's going to be gaps. The road goes up here. Mill route is mostly false flat, up to maybe 3% in a couple of spots. They're short, but they're repeated, and so you can get a good workout. I like coming on this road. It's always quiet. There's another hill coming up, and then it curves to the right. I stayed to the left to get a good shot and to keep my eye up front, and I think this is where I move up. I'm shadowing John here. In a little while I'm going to move up because I think I remember a gap over. I stay to the right here on the back because we really should only use half of this road. Because where Mark is, if a car shows up, he'll need to get over. I don't like to sit out there. There's no point to that. The road's wide enough. Unless I'm passing, I stay on my side of the road. I'm keeping my eye up there because their gaps are opening because people are forcing it as the road goes up. I see Mo and Doug have a gap. The Mark is moving up. The reason I haven't moved up at this point, the gaps are not large and people look like they're trying to get up there. And so, but I am keeping my eye on it. Because you will see why as we get into Montgomery, a huge gap opens and I have to close it down up a long climb. And because I didn't let it get too big, I was able to close it and I end up I'll show you all because I made clips of the gap and how quickly it opened to the right or I go around. It's a road we don't usually film, so I went ahead and kept the camera on for that stretch. I want to start filming different stretches of the route that we have not filmed much in the past. I think that's Michael there on the left that went by in the red jersey. So when you're sitting where he is, it's your responsibility to keep your eye out for other road users because you're on their side of the road. So as we approach this corner, someone says that there are a couple of riders off the back. And I don't know if you would hear me, but I tell Mo, I said, they need to meet us at the store. I said, if we go any slower, we'll be going backwards. But they're not going hard, so I don't understand why anybody would be off the back here. I think it's the two marks. No, the marks up there. I think, yeah, it's the guy I was talking about. I hadn't been riding much on the silver Le Mans bike. His name is Mark. He's off the back because he's out of shape. That's just the way it is. Yeah, that's what I said. If we go any slower, we'll be going backwards. Because I have no intention of waiting. There's no point waiting for him. He's just going to get dropped again. And the thing is that if you've been off for a long time, don't just show up at a group ride because you got to do some work before you show up. Or make sure, this group's not going that hard and he can't keep up. So what if we were riding our normal pace? Randy's waving me by. He says he's going back. I think he turns around here. So I just go around him. More and I talking. I don't know who's back there, but they said it was Mark. It's the guy on the silver Le Mans bike that I mentioned earlier. He just can't hold the pace. There's no point waiting for people like that. He knows where the store is. He can catch up when we stop. So I made the comment that we go any slower, we're going to be going backwards. So Mo's getting something to eat, and you see him. He takes out a sandwich and he says, "This is the secret." There's something that says the secret ingredient or something. But you notice how far off the back he is when he does this, and he's watching his front wheel the whole time. He's getting closer to John because they're slowing down. So you notice he grabbed his front wheel as he got closer. If you're sitting upright, free hands, you need to make sure your front wheel is free and clear, and that the wind conditions are right so that you don't get blown around, because the wind can knock you down. So he took a quick bite of something, and I think he does it again. I think he reaches in there again because he'll show me the sandwich. So he's basically eating for the subsequent hours that are coming.
Peanut butter and jelly, man. Yeah.
He says peanut butter and jelly, man. You know, I eat that sometimes. It's quick energy. It's really good. Peanut butter and jelly is good. You got protein from the peanuts. Then you got carbs from the bread. But you eat that when the pace is subdued and you eat it early enough.
So until the second hour.
So you're not using, yeah. That's what I was telling Mo. I said, I already eat when I'm coming to catch these guys. And I don't need to eat till the second hour. Because I'm eating in the second hour for hour 4. So then he's going to reach in there and pull something and then say, you see how his jersey fits him nice and tight? That's the way a jersey should fit you. There's some jerseys I buy that don't fit like that. I end up getting them altered so they and tight in the waist. Washing down what he ate with water. So you don't need to be buying all this fancy stuff, gels and all of that. You got food in your house, make them peanut butter sandwiches, eat it early enough, and you'll be good. And he wraps that in small bites. You can see he just took a bite, he was done. And he said, this is the secret ingredient here. I don't know what that is, but it's something else he's eating. So you find what works for you and you stick with it. You will not find seasoned riders trying new stuff at a big ride. You try that in training, just in case your body doesn't like it. That's what those pockets are for. Pack your food. Carry banana bread, peanut butter and jelly, all kinds of stuff. Mo leaned over there a little bit. I don't know if some of you caught it. He was basically using his hip to guide his bike as John in front of him slowed down. This is a slight grade. Usually when these guys are going hard, when I ride with Mo and them, they'll do it at 40K. It's between 1 to 2.5%. And then right around here it starts to level off. You will see Mo use his aerodynamic position instead of pedaling here. Save energy, stay close. I'm coasting, just staying back and watching to see what those guys are doing. This is the fast part of the road here. It's downhill slightly. It continues for probably 2 kilometers or so. It will get to Highway 105. I like coming back the opposite way on this road because this nice long descent becomes a nice climb. And I go around Mary there. She can't spin. She's just riding. And so she's already in the largest ratio she has. I think that's the biggest part of her riding she needs to improve. Gear selection and having dynamic cadence range. She's kind of limited there. We've talked about it. I mentioned that to her. But some people get accustomed to one thing and to stay with it. Racers do everything because anything goes when you're competing. You got to be able to adapt. So right here, as the road slows down, this is where you would downshift because as we go across, it goes up. So you don't want to be caught in a big gear at the intersection. Even if the road is flat, you got to be ready to go. This light is never very long. Highway 105. It changes. We're going across. You can see everybody's clipped in quickly and they're heading out. I'm just watching because I know I can ride up there, especially since the ride has been easy. I've got good legs. I go around Mary here, and this is where you will see where you have to watch for gaps. And Michael's the one that ends up leaving the gap. You see him come around me here? I don't mind so much. I'm watching those guys up there. There's a gap already, so somebody's got to do the work to get up there. So I'm watching to see if nobody does anything, then I was gonna just go. And when I go, I don't usually like to take any passengers. But I see Doug Shot up there, and he rides hard when necessary. So I figure, okay, he'll be able to close it. You can see Michael's working hard. This is what I've talked about before. I can tell there's something up with his fit. Whenever he's working hard, he's in mark quick. So I go around him here on the right, and I ride up to Michael's wheel. Now, this is taking a lot of effort just to bridge. And by getting there, we're just beginning. Now Doug Shot has closed the gap to these guys. This climb is a little over a mile. Everything you see up there is going uphill. And it gets up to probably 3%, I'm thinking. But it's long, and then the wind is there. You can see Michael's working really hard. Whenever Michael's working hard, he gets in the drops. I'm sitting on the brake hoods and just watching. Because at this point, everything feels easy. We finally got a chance to go hard. And it's been, what, an hour? So I've been riding for 2 hours. Nobody's behind me. We've gapped everybody back there. Mark, Mary, all of them are off the pace. And, you know, nobody's going to wait. And now right here, Michael quit. See that? I immediately go around him and give it the stick. Because whoever's up there did not let up. I think Mo's near the front. I think it's Mo that's pulling. And since we're near the store, you know, we don't need to wait for anybody. They'll catch up when we're there. You get there early, you get your water and everything, you're ready to go. By that time, they'll be there. If you look at the shadows, everything's close. When I turn the camera around here, right there, that's how much of a gap we quickly put on Michael. And then I lost a bit of the wheel there, but then I ride back. See how tight the line is. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 riders up here. A lot of it has to do with positioning. So the people who are close to whoever is pulling did not have to work as hard as you saw me do. So being behind is not exactly easy. Because the guys who are up there did not have to put the effort that I put in. Because you're already on the wheel and it's tight, you don't need to close gaps. Closing gaps takes a lot of energy. So that's another way you can work hard on an easy ride. So that was Michael at the front that was pulling. So we turn here. Tim goes to the front, and I think I end up riding around John at this point in a little bit. We're heading towards Taco Corner. What you see Mo doing is every time you do that, this is a long enough downhill you can get to catch your breath. You know, it's just something he works on. He mentioned to me that when he used to compete, he had trouble staying with the heavier guys on the downhill. And so he worked on that, and that helped him to stay close. When you ride in a group and you experience enough, you can tell who will be able to last and who won't, just by the cadence they're using and how they ride. So I hope this has been enjoyable for you. It was a steadier ride to start the vacation. And here we arrive at the ride stop. And this is where I turned off the cameras when we got here, because I headed back to start the week off the bike with the family. This is Taco Corner. So I hope you all got a chance to get some K's in. If not, get out and keep those doctors fired. We met other cyclists at the stop.